Hey, how you doing? It's Lauren, the nerdy entrepreneur. I am back. It's been a while since we did a live here, and this one is not going to be too long because we have other things to do on our Sunday. But for all those who are here and who will see this in the future, we have a topic to talk about, and this is for all my coaches and course creators right here, because a lot of you will eventually have an high ticket offer, or maybe you already do, right? And you might have this is the time of year that certain folks have issues filling their high ticket offer because it's the holiday season, and that is always the excuse. It's the holiday season. People's heads are in a different headspace, and that is true. A lot of people's heads are in a different headspace. It's Hanukkah, Christmas is coming up, um and there's other holidays that other people celebrate, and their head is more like family and getting the stuff prepped together, and it's not so much, oh, how can I improve myself, right? For a lot of people, that's not the first thing. And most times in these higher ticket programs, you're looking to actually improve yourself. And unless it's like something particularly business related, meaning cash in the bank will be seen if they do this thing. And so you might be having issues kind of filling your programs right now, and you're a little frustrated, and so we're gonna do some addressing, something that you can do to help, improve the put the odds back in your favor. And so here's some of the things you need to look at. Now, if you're entry level, this won't apply so much to you, but if you've been around doing this for a while and you're like at a stuck point, like, damn, how do I get my I can take 3 more spots, I can take 5, 10 more spots. What do I need to do? So this is something to think about. If you've already have structured your business, that you've had something you've been selling, that is your low ticket item. It could be an ebook or a physical book. It could be maybe a smaller course. Um, it could be another old course that you've done before through affiliates or whatnot. You most likely have some people who are buyers. These are people who are proven to spend money with you. And most likely you should have that list, those list of customers for yourself. And so what you want to do is think, hmm, I can spend more money on ads, which, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. Um, I could look at those people who have bought from me in the past and see if I can fill them into my higher ticket coaching program, if that is actually possible with folks. And that's what I think you should really focus on. There are a bunch of people, for some of you who've been around for a while, who you have customers already. Now, you don't need to have like 10,000 customers. There's some people, great, they have 10,000 customers, 50,000 customers, but that is not most people's situation. Most people, they might have a few hundred customers or so, or even a few dozen. So what you need to think about is, who are the most likely that one could get something out of what I'm doing in this program? Who are those people? And most of the time, that could be found just looking at your customer list, looking at the people who bought stuff from you in the past. Now, if they're already in your coaching program, that's one thing. But if a good chunk of them are not there, I would really look as to why didn't they join? Was it a money issue? Was it a content issue? Right? Because if it's a money issue, it means the content is good. So it's not you rethinking what you're teaching in this coaching or mentorship program. It's a money issue. So, what is the price of your program? I'm not saying you should lower the price of your program, but I'm just saying, what is the price of your program at the time you pitched it to that person? So I'll just go in a mid-tier program. Let's say the program was, let's say it was $3,000. Okay. So you got $3,000 coaching program. And at the time, the person could not afford that 3K coaching program. So, what can we do to help cross them over the line, right? What can we do to get more people in our programs and cross them over the line if they can't afford? Let's say if it was 3K, I'm just making up a number here. You could break things up in payments because some people do not do that with their coaching programs. They don't break their stuff into payments for whatever their reason, right? Why? What is the fear about breaking up your payments? The big fear about breaking up something into payments is that, well, is that that person won't pay them. Now, from other people I've talked to, other coaches, other people who sell coaching programs, when they do break up payments, they say maybe about they'll get 60% fulfillment, meaning 60% or more of the people who have opted into multiple payments will actually complete the payments. And for them to have more people in their program is better than to have less people who pay upfront in full. That may not be your philosophy, but if you don't mind, that's not bad numbers, right? That's really not bad numbers at all. So, one things you can do is consider that, can I break these payments up? Can I engage that past customer by saying, "Hey, I remember you said you like this coaching program, but you couldn't afford it at the time. Hey, I just want to, I really start thinking about that. Can we have, let's engage again." I'm not saying you say engage again, but I'm just for our purposes, right? And what you do is for most programs where people will break up the pricing, they usually the chunks are more, right? Like you get the discount by paying the original price of 3K. But if you let's say you're going to break it up into two payments, they would say, okay, well the payments are going to be $1,800, right? Versus paying 3K, you're going to pay two payments of 1,800. Maybe that person said, you know what, that works. I can do that. And if you did that with your group of people who've already bought with you, like the only difference is the fact that they couldn't afford 3K up front, but they can do $1,800, then you would have opened the doors to filling up your program slots. And yeah, maybe 60% or more who will actually complete the second payment. And the other one, you could probably, if you have people chasing them, you'll probably get a few more. It's really up to you though, because this is, your business and how you look at it. But what you can do is do that. Sometimes, and this is the holiday season. So maybe, hey, I'm gonna give 3K to this coaching program, but I didn't think about Christmas. That for some people that's not gonna work, right? Especially if they have families and kids they have to provide for. But sometimes breaking up payments of something bigger, you know, making it a little bit more expensive, but breaking up the payments is better than not having those people at all if the goal is to fill up your coaching program and bring in that extra revenue for yourself. And that's one thing that folks can do because oftentimes they ignore the list of people who have bought from you in the past. You completely say screw them people. Like, why are we screwing these people? Like, they believed in us, right? They bought into whatever we were selling at the time. And so we're going to say screw those people. That doesn't make any sense to me. So if you really want to look at breaking up your payments for your high tech coach program, you can't get more people through the door. With the downside being that not 100% of them will actually fulfill all those payments. But you will have so much extra people going into it, it kind of makes up for, the folks that you couldn't get in the first place. So that is something to absolutely consider when you're doing, selling high ticket something and it's this time of year and it's kind of, kind of funky, because everybody's head is everywhere else. But here's a number two tip you can do to fill up your programs if you have one. And that is partnering. So sometimes, in this online space, it can be very lonely if you're selling online coaching. But maybe there is a coach out there that that you're friendly with that you could have an arrangement to pitch your program to them. Now, you might have to do a few webinars, you might have to do all that other stuff, but maybe you could tap into somebody else's audience with what you do. Oftentimes, if you've watched some of the bigger gurus in the space, that's what they do. Everybody knows this other person's name because they turn around and do cross promoting of each other all the time. They always cross promote. And because we are not willing to cross promote, because you're like, oh, I don't want to share my audience with this person. You miss out on those opportunities because most people do that. I've cross promoted things that made sense to my email list, right? Which, if you want to be on my email list, you can go to storyxbrandxstrategist.com. And that's like my blog site. You can go in there and jump right on the newsletter and join my email list too, if you choose. Like, shameless plug there. But the ability to cross promote can be very powerful to your business. You can wind up filling up programs or selling more courses or something that you would not have before. And so that's something we can't throw away because that is something that's very common in space. Partnering up. Who has something that's complementary? Who has something that would actually work for my audience? That's something to actually consider. Do you have something that work for my audience? Is there someone out there like my audience is really, you know, my audience was really interested in learning this topic. I don't teach this topic. I'm not an expert or comfortable with teaching this topic, but I know a person who is. Well, it would make sense for me to say, "Hey, listen, I love your stuff, and my audience is made up of X, and they're interested in learning this stuff, but I'm not the one for it. Uh, can we cross promote? Can is there affiliate? Is there something that we can do together to bring you into my audience?" And that's something to keep in mind. That is done all the time. So don't be afraid of turning around and cross promoting or looking for people to partner with to do those types of joint ventures. It can get more blood into your email list, more blood into your business of people who never would have heard of you before, which then will allow you to sell your high ticket program. Now, in those cases, especially if you're trying to sell people in a high ticket coaching program, if you're charging, let's say 3K, you might have to give $1,000 or more to the other person, depending how big their stuff is and what you negotiate. But you'll have more people in your program, right? And the money still is pretty good, especially if they have a much bigger audience. You like if they have an audience of like 20,000 people, and let's say you guys do cross promotion and they jump into your offer, and hell, you might even sell that offer for 4K instead of three, and they have 25 people jump in. Oh my goodness! Even if you have to give away half, you still got two. That's a good number, right? And that happens all the time. But you got to be willing to reach out and build those relationships with people in order to do that. So, because if you're having trouble filling up space in your program, sometimes finding that other person who has complementary skills, a complementary program, who also has an audience, is a great way to cross promote what you are doing. And that's also something to absolutely consider if you're trying to fill up those spaces. So, one, go back to the old people. Think about breaking up the payments to your program to get more of those people in. Or two, which I love, which is finding someone who has a similar audience to you, who doesn't teach what you teach, who you can approach and be like, hey, I'm doing X and Y. Maybe your audience would like that. And coming up with an agreement that would work for both of you to make it a wonderful and hopefully profitable venture for the both of you. That way you get more people in, your coaching program, whatever number you're looking at, will get filled. And those are two things that can be done that if you are trying to sell your high ticket coaching program, these are two things you can do. You do that today. You don't have to wait and think about it. You can find some people who are like, oh, let me reach out, build that relationship to do that. Or you can go back to the people who've already bought from you and maybe raise your price a little bit and give them payment options and then promote to those folks and get more people in your program. And you could do that, especially number one that I'm the number one first thing I mentioned in this video, which is go back to your customer list and see why people didn't buy in, and figuring that out first. That's a great way to get some cash flow in before the end of the year. Well, the second option of reaching out to people might take a little bit longer depending on your relationship and what they already got going on. So those are about two things that you can do right now to actually help fill those programs up. And it's just up to you to put in the footwork. It's up to you to do all those things. Now, at least on the first bit of if you're trying to go back to your customer list and figure out why they didn't buy, and then create that, because you have to do your little bit of marketing, sales promotion on that. Because there is footwork on doing it, even though it's your list, it's footwork because these people didn't buy for a reason, right? To figure that out, sometimes you're too close to it, and sometimes it is the holiday season, and a lot of you are busy. That is something that I usually help my clients with, going back to the old customer list, figuring out why they didn't buy, building out that campaign, and helping them structure and sell that high ticket coaching program and getting that cash flow in, hopefully uh, in less than 30 days. So if you are interested in that, you can always reach out to me. I am the nerdy entrepreneur, Lauren Hazel. You can reach out to me by going to wolfpackleads.com. You can sign up to talk to me, or I also have an email list there that you could talk to me. If you want to just be on my Newsletter list, you go to storyxbrandxstrategist.com and just join a newsletter. And I send out emails. You say what's up. But if you want me to actually help you work on what you're doing, you can even drop me a line as YouTube and I'll try to follow up with you. But also go to wolfpackleads.com, jump on my calendar there, and we could talk about how we can do that together.